Good evening and welcome to episode 156 of the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. What a show we have for you tonight. It's the return of the Big A. Anthony Stabile from NYRA will be with us in just a few minutes to talk about an outstanding card this Saturday at Belmont, including the Suburban, the Belmont Oaks, and the Belmont Derby, the start of the Turf Triple Series in New York. A few things we need to talk about first before I bring on my co-host and bring on Anthony. Please make sure you subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. I know we have a lot of people that watch but are not subscribing, so please make sure you subscribe. I also know we have a lot of people that are watching but do not hit that notification bell. So right down below there, hit that notification bell so that you know when new content will arise, because we've got Saratoga coming up. We got Del Mar coming up. We're not just going to be going one day a week. You might be going more than 2 days a week. So you're going to want to hit that notification bell so you know when new content will rise. Also smash that thumbs up button. We'd really appreciate that. I'll tell YouTube this is a great show. Of course, you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. So if you can't watch us live or you can't watch us at all, please make sure you check out those listening platforms. We got a lot of people watching. Very excited. We'll bring on some comments in just a minute. Also, the Race Day blog. It starts the beginning of every month. If you are not subscribed to the Race Day blog, do it now. It's only $13 for the entire month. It's only about $3 a blog. It's been excellent. Over $3 ROI on my price plays. We give ABC grids. We give pick fours, pick fives at different tracks throughout the country. It's been a very successful blog. Anyone that subscribes to it knows that. If you don't subscribe, check it out. The information you can see is on the screen, or check out below the video player. Just click the show more button and you'll find all the promotions. Now, this is really exciting. I just sent out an email to many people about an hour ago, so some of you already saw this. However, I want to announce officially to the entire world the grand opening of the HHH Racing Podcast online store. It is available right now as we speak. There's t-shirts, quarter zips, hoodies, polos, hats. Really, I think it's great merchandise. I think you really enjoy it. I've worked very hard on it. We'd really appreciate it if you support the podcast, Paul and Pete and everyone behind the scenes. We do a lot of work, and we hope you guys appreciate that. This is really good stuff. So let me just show you very quickly, folks, where you can find the link to the online store. Again, I did email it out. Here, of course, is the podcast. Let me make this a little bigger. Here's my YouTube channel right here. Of course, you just click on, here's right now, this is the current show right now. And if you just go below the video player, let me collapse that. If you go below the video player there in the description, you see there's a little show more button. Click that show more button right there, and there's a bunch of promotions. The Race Day blog is number 2, but number 1 right there is the online store. There's a link to the online store right there. If you just click that blue link for the online store, here it is. These are some of the items. You see t-shirts with different logos on the front. We have hoodies of different sizes, different colors, etc. We have, again, quarter zips, hats, polos. All you do is you click on, for example, a hoodie. There are other colors. You just have to click on it. You can see there's other colors located. Anyway, click on the item you want, and then you can see all the different colors that you can purchase. I think it's an excellent store. There's a lot of good items on here. Really hope you support the podcast. The prices, of course, are not up to me. Everything's very expensive right now, and the vendors are charging what they're charging. We're not looking to make a fortune off this at all. We just want you to, spread the word about the podcast and show a little support for the work that we do. So please make sure you go to the online store. It is only available through July 19th. Again, it is only available through July 19th. All the information is below the video player, and if you go to the online store, you can check it out. So hope you will do that. Last thing before we get into our guests, my Saratoga trip countdown, 13 days. I will be at Saratoga for the first time ever on July 20th. It's 13 days. I'm very excited about that. I can see our special guest is excited. I'm going to be there. Hopefully, we're going to hook up and have some beverages. He's in the green room clapping. I can't wait to see him and Andy Sterling and the gang at Saratoga live. That'll be very exciting. All right, before we bring on our special guest, real quick, let's bring on my always special guest, my co-host from the East Coast. We got Pete Visco, and from the Saratoga Special, Paul Halloran. Guys, how you doing tonight?
What's up, gentlemen?
Doing great. Paul, you're muted there.
Paul, old school on mute. We haven't done that in a while.
Well, I'm coming to you live from the coast of Maine, so there could be some background noise. I'm at a family resort on the Kennebunk River in Kennebunkport, 1 mile from Walker Point. Went by the Bush compound yesterday and today, actually, by sea. Pretty impressive place, 11 structures. Each kid has a house. But I was not, with the Big A coming on, I said, I'm not missing a show with the Big A. So I'm going to give it a shot from here.
Well, we appreciate you making that, special occasion to come, or no one wants to miss the Big A. So, guys, we got a lot to talk about tonight. I know Anthony has some things he wants to discuss, and we have a lot of people waiting. Please make sure, if you have any questions in the live chat.
The coast of Maine, Howard.
Oh, wow, there you go. Wow, beautiful. Very New England.
Just to show I wasn't making it up.
No, well, you always sent me a picture. I knew you were telling the truth. Any questions in the live chat for myself, Pete, Paul, or Anthony as he's about to come on? Upper right-hand corner, please make sure you put any questions in the live chat. All right, let's bring this guy on. Everyone knows him, loves him. You can find him on NYRA, American State of the Races, all Fox Network, all their places. He's a fantastic analyst, handicapper. He does it all. Overall, great guy. I asked him to come on for this show, and without hesitation, he's like, what time? I love this guy. Let's bring him on from New York. Here he is again, the one and only Anthony Stabile. Anthony, how you doing tonight?
From outside of La Casa del Tobacco, my buddy Rudy's cigar shop, in between Hold'em tournaments, guys. That's how much I love Howard, Pete, and Paul. In between Hold'em tournaments, fellas. It's my last one down here, too. My last one down here. I leave on Wednesday. Car gets packed. We head up.
You leave for
Saratoga Spring Water.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have that. I love it. Yep, I'm a still guy. Andy's a sparkling guy. I'm a still guy. You might hear some airplanes going by. It is what it is.
No problem.
I got boats, Big A.
We appreciate you taking time between Hold'em turns. You know I'm a Hold'em guy. Interesting enough, Anthony, I've got a poker question for you in a little bit with our 10 minutes of post 7 because I know you'd appreciate that. So, Anthony, before we get started in the handicapping of Saturday's card, just so everyone, let me set the table for everyone. We're going to talk just for a minute. We're going to do our famous 10 minutes of post segment. Anthony was on with us last month, but we weren't able to do that because if you recall, I was in a hotel and we had, we didn't have any tech issues, but we had things we had to work out. This is my setup, Anthony, at home here that you can see behind me. So, Anthony,
we had that Belmont Stakes. We had that Belmont Stakes thing too that we needed to talk about that day.
Oh yeah, that and a few other things for sure. Anthony, I know you wanted to talk about collectible kid.
Jackson's my son's in the chat. Here we go.
Is Pete Visco's son Jackson? So Anthony,
my 10-year-old son is in the chat. Just for you, Ant. He's just on for you.
Hi, Jackson. How are you, pal?
Anthony, I know you wanted to talk first about a Tonalist story. Go ahead, sir.
Well, the Tonalist story, we talked about it a little bit last time. If it weren't for Tonalist, I wouldn't be doing this anymore. Belmont Stakes winner, made a ton of money with him. That wasn't really it. 2015, my vocal cord collapses in October. Couldn't work for about 3.5 weeks on HRN. Mike and Michelle Penna probably put me on before they should. And I went back, and Acacia started working with us at that point, Acacia Courtney. And it was great to work with her. And, she was brand new and kind of showing her the ropes a little bit. And when I was a kid, I didn't have anybody that did that for me. And I always promised myself that if somebody came along and I could, I would. And she was just a pleasure to work with, a real sponge. I mean, I'm so proud of her. Job she did. So we started doing some work together. And sure enough, I'm going to do, hi, Craig, thank you.
They're coming from all over the country. By the way, if you're new to the show, welcome to the show. Go ahead, Anthony.
We're gonna do the Cigar Mile together. And to be quite honest with you, I had been thinking about giving it up. Wasn't making any real money. My uncle came to me in September at a block party and said, "Look, I want you to start selling some real estate with me, start doing some mortgages." The girl I was dating at the time and I were kind of, was the most serious we probably ever were. And he's like, it's time, this. And I really thought long and hard about it. Then the vocal cord comes and we get to the Cigar Mile and I had $82 in my pocket. I had $82 in my pocket. I walked in there Cigar Mile day and was just sitting upstairs in the Equestrius with Acacia. And I kind of thought it would be my last show. I kind of thought that was going to be it. And then maybe I do a few more shows just to help her along. So anyway, they turn for home in the Cigar Mile, and he's last. And he's got Red Vine and Matru and, some really not good horses in front of the Private Zone and backing up. And I said to myself at the quarter pole, I was like, wow, if this isn't a sign, I don't know what is. And Johnny V ripped him to the middle of the racetrack, and Johnny V stormed home, and Tonalist got the job done over Matru and Red Vine. And Acacia said I just stood up. I clapped like this. I thought I gave a yeah, but Acacia said I just did this. She said I walked away. I remember walking away, and I started crying a little bit. Came back, brought it back from break, dropped her off at the train, and I pulled over, and I cried for about 15 minutes. I just couldn't get a hold of myself. I called my uncle, and I was like, I can't leave. There's more here. There's more here. And about 6 months later, they were having a production meeting, and Andy was going to Saratoga a little early. And they said they needed somebody for Talking Horses on Friday. And Andy said, why don't we let Anthony Stabile try? He can cross-promote. We were doing some promotions with them in HRN. He do some cross-promotions. And sure enough, I got my start. And Andy and Dan Silver and the folks at NYRA, eventually Tony Alivato and Dave O'Rourke, kept it going. And I thought that, Talking Horses was maybe the reason I stayed around. And Tonalist. And then in November of 2018, I was sitting in the booth watching Frank Miramati call the late double before going to Ozone Pizza for some dinner. And I was watching him prepare, and I said, you prepare a lot like the Europeans, and he uses crayons. He was like, how do you know so much about this? I said, that's all I always wanted to do with my life, was be a racetrack announcer. He's like, all right, you will. We'll call a race. And sure enough, December 13th, 2018, at about 12:52, Ajnadine was on the scene, and the rest was history. And I thought to myself, I was like, well, this is why I stayed. But guys, it's a funny thing. This game has brought me everything. Just everything. And the only thing it hadn't really brought me was love. The only thing. And that changed March 9th of 2019. When I met the most special person on the planet. Right outside of Long Shots on the second floor off of the escalator. And Nicole's probably watching now and listening. Hi, hon. And started out as friends. We're now much more than friends. And about 7 months ago, how it all comes full circle. I was going up the escalator after Talking Horses, wearing the same blue outfit, the same blue suit I wore the day I met her. And I looked up, and looking over the very spot we met is the picture of Tonalist going by Matru and Red Vine in that Cigar Mile.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So a lot of people never heard the end of that story. And you and I, Howard, we had talked about telling the end of that story. I always kind of kept it professional, but, there was a reason. There was a reason he got up that day. there were probably a lot of reasons he got up that day. And you and I had talked about finishing that story one day. You would love that story, and you always felt that there was an end to that story. And you were the only one that kind of knew there was you were the only one that ever said that to me. So there's the end.
Wow.
And hopefully it's not, and it's really not the end. It's just the beginning. But
Anthony, that story just is exactly why we all love you, because you're so genuine. You just tell you bring it from the heart, and you mean what you say, and it's a great story. It's crazy how horse racing, ties into other things, and we're really happy for you, man. And hope
I'm going to go down and say I can't wait. I saw him. It's funny. I saw him at Lane's End right before I started calling the races, and right before Nicole and I met. And I can't wait to go see him. I'm going to carve out a few days. I don't know when, but I'm going to carve out a few days, maybe after the Breeders' Cup, and get down there and just go thank him again.
Anthony, I'm gonna, if you don't mind, we're gonna talk off air. If you don't mind, I'm gonna send your email to Paul, because Paul, my co-host there, has a very special story about a horse. Different circumstance, but a very touching, heartwarming story about Catholic Boy that I'll let him share with you off air sometime. I think we've all heard it on air. It's really touching. Anthony, let's get into some questions now. We got our famous 10 minutes to post segment. These are going to be 6 horse racing questions and 4 non-horse racing questions. I got a little open to start it. Here we go. 10 minutes to post. 10 minutes to post with Anthony Stabile. Anthony, you ready to go here? So you can answer in 2 seconds or 2 minutes, as long as you want. And we're gonna Pete and Paul will just alternate with the questions. Here we go. I got the first question. They're gonna show up at the bottom of the screen, Anthony. Question number 1. What was the first moment you fell in love with horses or horse racing?
The first moment I fell in love with doing what I wanted to do. I mean, I fell in love with the races. I probably don't remember that moment, but Pat Day's ride in the 1989 Breeders' Cup Classic with Easy Goer and Sunday Silence was the day I knew that I had to be a part of this game. I knew I was allergic to 5:30 in the morning, which I've said on here a couple of times. And I saw my dad struggle, and I saw a lot of his friends struggle with, unless you're a big trainer, or it was tough, especially back then. I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do, and I was a good rider. My parents met at Aqueduct, which is kind of fitting for the last story. My parents met at Aqueduct. My mom always helped me with my riding and my handicapping, and my dad was always around a barn with my dad. So, but that day we were at the Meadowlands watching that race, and I remember saying to myself, "Man, I wish I had a forum to just express my anger." I'm a 12-year-old kid. I care nothing about the Mets, Hulk Hogan, and Easy Goer. I don't care about anything else. I don't care. The Nicoles of the world didn't exist in my head. I was worried about who was Hulk Hogan fighting that night. What were the Mets doing? Enough with the. It was time to move on from Darling and Gooden. And that night, I said to myself, my career is going to be in horse racing media. And
beautiful. By the way, that Easy Goer Sunday Silence Breeders' Cup was at Gulfstream, I believe. And if for you younger viewers especially, if you haven't seen that video, go to YouTube and type it in. It is not only is a great race, Durkin's call is just, of course, absolutely unbelievable. All right, second question.
Wait, real quick. Hey, Ann, that's Easy Goer is my all-time favorite horse. If I was in the basement, I have a huge picture of him on my wall. I watch that race like 4 times a year, and I still try and snap Easy Goer home in the stretch, and it never works for some reason.
West, powerful thrust.
I can never get him home.
In the Phipps colors. All right, second question, Pete. This is yours. Go ahead.
All right, most memorable horse racing event ever attended. Got a lot of those.
Anthony, this is like the 60 Minutes, man. We don't mess around here. We're not going to just throw you a bunch of softball questions out.
I have to very, very, very. You didn't say favorite. I have to very reluctantly say American Pharoah's Belmont Stakes.
Okay.
I don't want to say it because I was not a fan, and I don't want to say it for obvious reasons. But that place, beautiful Belmont Park, turned into beautiful bedlam. I mean, it was in the park was. I watched the race in the park. The park was shaking.
Paul, you were there, right?
I was there. Yeah. So that's that's the most memorable. The best thing I've ever seen in person there. Wow. Probably the Breeders' Cup in 01 after 9/11.
Tis
The
now,
Breeders' Cup in 01 after
for
9/11.
America.
I've lived in the same house my entire life in Howard Beach, Queens. When those towers went down, I was able to drive onto the Cross Bay Bridge and watch that all day. I walked around with a half-shaved face all day. And I remember just being angry. I didn't lose anybody in the towers. I was angry. I remember I was working for the New York Post at the time. And I remember going to Belmont that day. And my mom and dad were at Mohegan Sun. My mom had to call me 50 times. Everything okay? Everything okay? I said, Mom, we're the safest place on earth. There's 90 snipers on the roof. I remember getting into the elevator with my buddy Dan Loletta, and I backed up into the press elevator, and I got hit with the butt of an AK-47 from Army guys who were in the elevator with us. I was like, this is the safest place on the planet. I'm good. But I remember it being just so tense. And then Tom came on and gave the changes. And it was like, okay, we can do this now. And then I was on juvenile fillies, exogenous flips, walking to the gate. I gotta run. I have to run back to Scotty Schulhofer's Vaughn May, rest in peace. And it was a normal day. And then of course I bet 600 to win on Saki, and Tisnow did it for America.
Unbelievable.
So I want
to say, by the way, I am not going to cut off Anthony Stabile. If he wants to talk as long as he wants, guys. This might be the longest 10 minutes to post and longest podcast. This reminds me of the Todd Schrupp podcast that went on for over 2 hours. But Anthony, I personally don't care. You can keep going on, man, as long as you want. All right, Paul. Next question's for you. Go ahead.
First, Big A, I'd like to say I was at both of those aforementioned events, and I agree with you on counts. The American Farrell Belmont was, for spectacle, the greatest sporting event I've ever been to, because for me, horses is the number one sport. And I know what you're saying about rooting for the connections, but it was unbelievable. The building was shaking. You are 100% correct. In any event, if you could go back in time and see one race in person that you weren't able to view, which one would it be?
You know, the knee-jerk is Secretariat, right? I don't have a specific race. I think I would have liked to have seen Ruffian run. Today being unfortunately the anniversary of her passing, I would have liked to have seen Ruffian run. I'm a big Songbird fan. Songbird's my favorite filly of all time. I've had a lot of favorite fillies. Songbird's my favorite filly of all time. I would have liked to have seen Ruffian run. I mean, I guess being at the Belmont in '73 would have been cool. But when you talk to people about Ruffian, it's weird. Like, you'll talk about Secretariat and people will be like, oh, spectacular bid, Seattle Slew. When you talk to people about Ruffian,
it's like a visceral, it's like a religious thing. It's crazy.
She's like a deity. Nobody else comes into that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's something I feel like I probably needed to see.
Okay. By the way, appreciate all the comments from Craig Hines and Patrick Kunzel's here, and a lot. Mike Monroe, thank you for your comment. All right, next question. This is from me here. The favorite track to visit, Anthony, outside of the NYRA circuit?
I'm going to cheat here.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to cheat here a little bit. Well, you know what? The old Meadowlands.
I knew he was going to say Meadowlands. I was about to say, don't tell me you're going to say Meadowlands.
The old Meadowlands.
With the old grandstand on the other side, it's now on the opposite side of the track. Yeah.
The old Meadowlands. If I had to give you one that was still in, and we're covering Meadowlands by this is shameless plug. Canterbury Meadowlands, America's Day of the Races, Saturday night, 8 to 11. The A Train, the Little A, Acacia Courtney, and I will be on FS2 covering the graduate finals, the Meadowlands Pace. Oh, really? Elims, we'll be on from 8 to 11. Some Canterbury.
We got to get you on the Hambletonian coverage, Anthony. What do we
Absolutely.
Get you on the
I'm the harness guy for America's Day at the Races. I'll be on FS2 that day as well.
All right.
Yeah, Old Meadowlands.
How's Acacia's harness knowledge? We're
She's
gonna
good.
find out.
She's good.
All right.
We'll find out Saturday night, but she's good.
She's. I'm sure she's very knowledgeable. She's great. Pete, next question's for you.
Hey, and I spent my whole life at the Meadowlands, by the way. I grew up less than 10 minutes away. So I was there visiting my dad 2 weeks ago. We went to the Meadowlands, and it was a bloodbath. Bloodbath on a Friday night at the Meadowlands.
Pete, are you a Ralph's fan? Little Ralph's Pizza?
No, I wasn't. I never went.
You got to go to Ralph's. It's still there.
I know.
It's fantastic.
You know, it's funny. When I go up there, I'm so tight that I do like the same 4 things every time. I never get to try anything new that's going on.
Mr. Hong's was there. Mr. Hong's is closed.
Oh, really?
The Candlewick Diner. Yep. Candlewick Diner and Ralph's is still there. Ralph's is fantastic.
I got to go then. Yeah, I'll definitely got to do that.
Little shout out to Big A from Cynthia, Anthony from Cynthia.
Thank you,
English.
Cynthia.
All right, go ahead, Pete.
All right. Biggest mistake the average handicapper consistently makes?
Dealing in absolutes.
You want to be a little more specific?
There are certain trainers and jockeys I very, very, very rarely bet on. Notice I didn't say ever. You have to be fluid. You want to have some axioms. You want to have some rules of thumb. Do not carve anything in stone in this game. When you start carving things in stone in this game, you will get buried, and so will your NYRA bets bankroll. Shameless plug, too.
Paul, go ahead.
Big A, your bucket list track or race day event you would like to attend either here or abroad?
Was supposed to go on my first airplane ride to Acacia's wedding in March. The plane drove around the tarmac at JFK for an hour and 45 minutes. I got off. So I have a fear of flying. With that said, I want to go to the Melbourne Cup. And I realize that means spending 24 hours on an airplane. I realize, but I need to go somewhere where the race stops the nation. And we used to have a little Melbourne Cup party in my basement before Hurricane Sandy took my basement. My dad and I would get Fosters. We'd sing Tie Me Kangaroo Down and Waltzing Matilda. We'd have the guys over. And we would bet. My old man, let me tell you something about my old man. He can crush. He knows the alphabet, but he don't know ABC. He knows Australia ABC. That dude can rake down under, my man. He's amazing.
That's my bucket list, and also Matt Bernier's bucket list track. Just to let you know, the race that stops the nation. Unbelievable. All right. I think this is you, Pete, correct?
Might have been yours. Yeah, that was yours.
But this comes from Pete. This was Pete's idea. Anthony, the favorite sport, event, or game to gamble on outside of horse racing?
I love playing roulette.
Wow, black or red?
I saw that on Twitter. I saw you made a comment about roulette on Twitter the other day.
Yeah, Nick Tamaro said it. How do you play what's your dice strategy? I said I play roulette.
Play roulette.
Poker and roulette. I like. You know what it is? We spend so much time, and Howard, I know you play poker too. We spend so much time handicapping and playing poker that when I need to relax and unwind, I want to grab a Casamigos, or I want to grab a Jack Daniels. I want to light a cigar in the few venues that you can still light cigars. Go over to the wheel and play 9, 11, 30, and 31. And I just want to watch the wheel spin around like a dope.
All right, I love it too. By the way, we're here at the Anthony Stabile, of course. This is our famous 10 minutes of post segment. We are handicapping. Don't leave anyone. We are handicapping the Saturday card starting in about 5 minutes. We're having a lot of fun.
I'm just going to do a couple of Sinatra numbers first, and then we'll get into the handicapping.
Perfect. All right. We've got 4 non-horse racing questions, Anthony. Here we go. First one's going to come from Pete.
Ooh, best restaurants when in Saratoga.
Nove, Nove, unofficial spokesperson. Caesar salad, mini white pie, chicken and eggplant. Tell them to make it Stabile style. They'll put a little fresh mozzarella on top. Get the potatoes instead of the pasta to watch the carbs. I lost 27.5 pounds in Saratoga last year, and I spent more than half the meat at Nove.
Who loses weight in Saratoga? Only Anthony
I'm going to beat that number this year. All right. Nove, Nove. That's it. Tell them the big A. Tell Ashley and Rob and Louie and Jerko and Carmine, the Big A sent you.
Anthony, here's my tentative lineup with my friends. We're staying in a house in Saratoga right now. We've got reservations at the Brook Tavern, Salivo, and Hamlin Ghost. How's that lineup? Not bad.
Let me know what night you want to go to Nove.
All right, we'll get into that. Paul, next question. We got 2 more left, guys. 2 more left.
This is a good one.
Yes.
Favorite poke, not a premium.
Yeah, don't give me aces or kings, Anthony. I want some,
I got a doozy for you.
I'm sorry?
I got a doozy for you. Go ahead. You ready?
Let me hear it.
3-9.
Wow, what, do you like baseball when you were a kid or what?
No, 3-9.
Okay.
Tropicana 2006. I'm coordinating 05 and 06. I'm coordinating bachelor parties and dealing poker games. That's how I am, and gambling. That's how I am surviving. I'm going to Tropicana every other week. In 5 hours at a 2-5 no limit table, I flopped quad nines with 9 of spades, 3 of hearts, and I turned quad nines with 9 of spades, 3 of diamonds. I made about right around 8,000 between the 2 hands because God was good and spiked a king and an ace when I flopped the 4 nines.
And made pocket
and the
aces?
action was just wild.
Oh my goodness.
And then there was a kid sitting next to me. I got up and went to dinner. He couldn't believe it. So the 9 of spades, and then furthermore, 9 pounds 3 ounces when I was born. My address starts and ends with a 3 and a 9.
Okay.
And I met that lovely young lady on March 9th.
Oh, that's awesome.
9-3, baby. All day. They know when I'm pointing in there because they're in there playing right now. They know if 9s and 3s are on the board, I can be the biggest bully on the planet because they know I probably have them.
Anthony, absolutely true story. I played poker this week at a casino. I had pocket 10s. I went all in and ran into pocket kings, unfortunately. But we decided to run it twice, and guess what happened? I won both sides with pocket 10s. And get this, and this is absolute true story. And get this, a 10 did not show up on either hand. I had flush and straight and beat the guy with pocket kings. There's about a 0.003% chance of that happening. Absolutely true story. Anyway, all right, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, this is my last one here. Give me a 1-word association for these people. We're going to go one at a time, Anthony. Just 1 word to describe some of the great people you work with. Andy Serling.
Brother.
Richard Migliori.
Brother.
Don't say brother for this. And Keisha Clement.
Sister.
It's a family. It's a family, right? You guys are all family. All right.
Richie and I, the last 2 years, Richie and I have really bonded the last couple of years. We shared a place last year in Saratoga. Richie, Richie knows better than almost anybody at that track when I'm having a bad day, when I'm having a good day. We watched the Preakness together this year, had an absolute blast booting early, voting home together. He told me I was the Angel Cordero of rooting. So that's it. He's automatically, he's enshrined in the Hall of Fame immediately.
That's awesome. I know Andy was there and his friends with the connection. So that was pretty cool too. He was actually at Pimlico. All right. So before we get to the handicapping, I have a 45-second video that I want to show. And the reason why I want to show this video, guys, is because it relates to a horse in race 3 on Saturday. No, we're not handicapping race 3. I'm not throwing you guys for a curveball. But there's a reason why. I think you guys will get a good kick out of this. There's a horse running race 3 on Saturday. So if you're at home and you got your PPs in front of you, pull it up. See if you can figure out the horse that we're going to just mention just for a second here. It's based on this video that I'm about to bring up for race 3. I think Paul knows. Here is the video, everyone, with sound, everyone. So let's not talk over this. Here's with sound. This horse relates to a horse in race 3. Here we go. All right, so let me go ahead and show you. I think you guys know now who's the horse, Paul. Who are we talking about? Paul, your
That would
mic's
be
off, Paul.
the one. That would be the one.
There you go.
Funny
now,
how.
Some of you might be wondering why are we bringing this horse up. There's a horse in race 1. There it is. Great name. By the way, Anthony, are you a Goodfellas or Godfather guy? Which one?
You understand that scene starts with my name.
Yes, it does.
The bar scene starts with my name, a third cousin of my dad's. The second cousin of my dad's my third cousin, I guess.
Do you have a preference of which movie, Anthony, or you can't even say? It's not even fair.
I mean, how could you ask me? You guys want me to get? No, I'm not answering that question.
Especially on, unfortunately, the passing of James Conde. By the way, really sad to hear about that. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the 5th, guys. I'm gonna take the 5th.
I hear you. Anyway, Funny How is running in race 3. We're not hanging in this race. The only reason I bring it up, guys, is because he's owned by my good friend Matt Cutera of Adelphi Racing Club, of which I'm a partner of. Take a look at this horse, guys. I think she's interesting. They've had a little bit of trouble getting her to the races, but she's very talented. She's been working well. She's got to draw the rail, which is tricky. But Funny How race 3 on Saturday is worth a bet if she looks good in the pack, etc. So just want to mention her. All right, let's go on to the race. Let's go on to the races we're going to start talking about, guys. Race 4 is the first race we're discussing. It's outside of the pick 5. We're going to have a very short discussion. Anthony, I know that you want to talk in detail about the stake races today. What's your thought on the Suburban on Saturday?
You know, the first glance at this race is there's no speed. And Untreated tried taking them gate to wire in the Pimlico Special last time from an inside draw. And Joel tried to dole out his speed as best he could. And he got a little late. That was the first time he'd ever shown speed. And I thought he ran really, really well. I wonder now, with that one good blow on the front end under his belt, if he's poised to try to steal this one on the front end. And I really think he is. I mean, Max Player, I guess, could be ridden for a little bit more speed, but boy, his form has just kind of left him. Forewarned, obviously, doesn't have any. First Captain, they added the blinkers, and he was 4 lengths behind Untreated and winning the Pimlico Special here. And then Dynamic One is just, I mean, he's the first half mile, he's slower than the 4 of us in a horse suit, as Andy would say. So I'm going to try and see if Joel can walk the dog on the front end and try and get it done. I'll tell you what else. I think Dynamic One is really coming into his own right now. This is a horse I know Todd Pletcher's always been really high on. Always thought this horse had some talent. And I think he's starting to put it together. You know, he's got that pedigree that tells you he's going to run all day. You look at his 2 mile and a quarter races. They're in the Travers and the Derby. I'm not going to hold those against him, especially if you're of my belief that he's just a different horse now. He's a different horse this year, and I think he's very dangerous.
You know, I had Dynamic One last time when he won at Churchill. I really want to go with Untreated in this race, Anthony. My problem is, I mean, how he got a perfect scenario last time and couldn't win, and now this race coming up is longer. But what's interesting about that replay, I don't know if you felt the same way, Anthony. Despite the fact they went slow, Untreated was engaged before the far turn. So yes, he did have to ask before the far turn, even though they went slow. I think that means something. I just have a hard time believing that he can go further distance and wire this field. But I think he's fascinating.
Yeah, he's interesting. I'll tell you what. We talked earlier about the biggest mistake handicappers make, right?
Yeah.
One of the best things about Joel Rosario is Joel learns. And I think last time, I think you bring up a great point, Howard. He got him engaged a little earlier than maybe he needed to because he went so slow. Yeah. I don't think he's going to go as slow on Saturday.
Just send and go, right? We talk about this speed all the time. Just go.
Let him roll. And if you want, Max Player wants to come running at him. First Captain's got to make a premature move. Have at it, boys. But I think Joel's going to let him run from the rip, and I think there's a really good chance he could steal it on the front end.
Pete, what's your thought in this race real quick?
I agree. Although I kind of like First Captain a little bit. I just think that's another one that's maybe coming into his own. He's been good in 2022. I could sort of toss the Carter. Maybe he didn't, he doesn't. Maybe that's too sharp. It was Speaker's Corner. It was a great field. Maybe that's a little too sharp. I like him going a little longer. Maybe he likes Belmont 3 for 3. He obviously likes the distance. So I would take a shot with him. I like Saez on him. I like keeping the blinkers on. He ran well. He responded well to that last time. But yeah, I think it's kind of wide. I like First Captain, and I really like what Anthony said. I thought the same thing when I first saw it. There's no speed, so if the one can just break and take them, then he's got a shot to hold.
Paul, what was your thought quickly in this race?
Poor Untreated is carrying a lot of extra weight because I really like him in this race. So, I just think I agree with Anthony. I think he's going to go. I think the fact that it's longer, Howard, might actually help him because I think he's going to just take him a little further. And I don't think people will go. And it's a real 2-turn race. It's kind of like a 1.5 turn race.
Yeah.
So I like him.
Okay. So Untreated is a strong use for the HHH Racing Podcast guest. Let's go on to race 7, guys. Now, everyone, this is the start of the pick 5 sequence. And the last thing I want to do before we get into the pick 5, I know we have some people that joined us a little bit late to the show, but we just started the grand opening of the online store for the HHH Racing Podcast. If you want information about the online store where you can purchase great merchandise at a very reasonable cost and help support the podcast, look below the video player, click the Show More link. Again, click the Show More link in the description below the video player, and you can see all the goodies from the online store. If you want more information about the online store, again, look below the video player, click the Show More link, and it will pop up, or email me, and I'll be happy to send you information about that. Race 7, we're going to start showing banners now at the bottom of the screen right now. Now, Anthony, due to some contractual obligations and things, he just needs to be careful with giving out his picks publicly. All his picks, guys, are going to be on Talking Horses. So if you want Anthony's picks for Saturday, check out the Great Talking Horses show. You can see it online. You can find Anthony's picks in a lot of different places, guys. He is going to talk about these races, but if you want his official picks, please look online. Anthony, we're going to start with you, of course. This is the Belmont Oaks. It's $700,000 for restricted 3-year-old fillies. They're going 1.25 miles on turf. This is the beginning of the Turf Triple Series in New York, which is a great series of 3 races. There's a bunch of Euros in both races. Anthony Stabile, who do you like in the Belmont Oaks this year?
So, just to prove that I am not the biggest, I mean, you know what? I can't even finish this speech without chuckling. I am the biggest East Coast bias guy there is. But, you know what Ned Stark said in Game of Thrones? Everything before butt is horse, you know what. I'm going to take the California Speed.
Wow. Cairo Memories. I love it.
I'm going to take a goofy shot with this horse.
Talk to us. Preach to the choir.
I don't know if I need to say anything besides flag form, that's all. My man Mike coming in. Mike Smith. Look.
Wow.
There's 4 Euros in here, 5 Euros in here, and 4 Americans that just don't have any speed. I guess Howdy has some speed. But my assumption is, if you look at the PPs and you just figure to yourself, all right, well, I'm gonna, if you're the rest of the gang in here, you're just gonna sit off of Cairo Memories. I don't know if that's the wisest thing in the world to do. I mean, she is just flat out. She's flat out fast. I mean, she has races when she was a 2-year-old, where she did come off the pace, but her last 2, where she's forward. She's going to be a big price. I think David laid her at 12-1 on the morning line. She should be. She absolutely should be. But I don't see any of the Americans that are completely scaring me. And I don't know how good the Euros are. I don't know how. You know what? It sounds stupid, guys, but I know Agartha's going to get some action from Joseph O'Brien, who announced today he's going to stay, keep a half a dozen in Saratoga this summer, which would be fun. But I guess the Euro I'd be most afraid of is Concert Hall. Aidan O'Brien, Big Papa coming in, Ryan Moore. That's an outside draw, post 10. I see no reason why this filly can't steal this thing on the front end at a big price. So I'm going to use a bunch of horses in the pick 5. But I'm going to bet her to win at that price.
Let's talk about Concert Hall for a minute. This is my top choice. I know Andy Serling, who of course does a great job as always, mentioned this on Twitter 2 days ago, and I watched it. Concert Hall, this was her last race. She's right here in the purple and white silks. I'm just going to let this run for when she absolutely had trouble. Now, you want to notice, first of all, she got bumped there. She got side swiped there. She absolutely had trouble here in the stretch. And you can obviously obviously the turf is much softer than it's going to be on Saturday. And right here at this point, she's in last. And I was thinking to myself, guys, why am I watching this replay? Watch this horse, Concert Hall. Watch what she does here closing. She finally gets free, gets to the outside, regains her momentum, and I thought this was a very good close and very underrated because if she doesn't get in that trouble, this is a much closer finish than it would have been. You see she's finishing right there. I think that was a sneaky good effort, guys. I think this is a very talented horse, and I like her on top. I just think the distance is going to suit, and I think she's very interesting in this spot. So I didn't want to do that. I meant to go back to the PPs. Pete, let's go to you. You've got the 6 on top, who I'll bring the PPs back, who's New Year's Eve, who's coming off a huge buyer number last time.
Yeah, and this was one where, unfortunately, there isn't, and Anthony mentioned this, there isn't a ton of speed in this race. So Cairo Memories could just get on the front and take it the whole way, which would sort of kill New Year's Eve the way she runs. But what I liked is I just like that this one, it has been getting decent paces to close into, which has been helping it out. Put another one that put blinkers on again, end with Saez, similar to the last race we talked about. And it just sort of fired. I mean, it was way back and blew away some pretty good horses. I mean, that was a nice field, the Edgewood. So, and beat them. And I just feel like the extra distance is going to help this horse a little bit. Now, look at that last work. They worked in 46 and 3 on the turf. Which is fantastic. And
that
then
turf,
this one,
I don't want to interrupt you. And listen, that work is good, but this turf right now is rock hard out east. I mean, it is really firm. But anyway,
there's 14 other horses who ran slower than that one. So even it's one of those things where they still have to do it. So I just like that. Now my concern is the reason I think it's sort of a wide open race. So I don't look at this one as like this is a stone cold lock. Because anytime you're relying on a deep closer, you need help. So the hope is that maybe someone else like Haughty does go out. Maybe they push the pace. Maybe Cairo Memories just can't hold, and then it opens it up for the closers.
2 quick things before I get to Paul. And I know, Anthony, I know all you know this, but supposedly with the Moonlight, based on some replays, has a little bit early speed. And Hot Queen also has early speed, but early speed in Europe is not the same thing as California's speed. So I don't want to suggest it's going to be some kind of pace duel, but I think some of the Euros and fillies in this race are going to show some type of speed. The other horse I'll mention before we get to Paul, a bunch of us like Consumer Spending. Personally, I'm assuming, Pete, you feel the same way. I think this is not by far. I think this is the best American in this race that I want for Klarovich. I like the way she's developing. She's closing well. She beat Pizza Bianca 2 back. Last time she won much easier than it looks on paper. But she is a closer, and Anthony's Taurus, the 2, Cairo Memories, is going to be ahead of her at the top of the stretch. So I just want to mention the 5. Paul, you're going with the 9, Agartha, for Joseph O'Brien, who won. Did he win the Oaks or the Derby last year with that long shot, Anthony? I can't remember which one it was.
It was a Derby. I believe it was the Derby.
He had a horse that looked like couldn't get distance and won the distance.
With Johnny V on him, as I recall.
That's your thought again here, Paul, right?
Yeah, I think this horse does, as much as I can read the Euro form, I think he is going to sit off Cairo Memories, get first run, and maybe able to stretch out. Obviously, he's got to get another quarter of a mile. He's run 7 furlongs a mile, but Johnny is real good at that. This combination has worked, and if he can get the extra quarter, I think he's got a legitimate chance. And I do tend to lean to the Euros and races like this, and I think he's the top Euro. And I wish you well with Ryan Moore from the outside post. That'll be the second worst trip of the day. The worst will be when he's in the outside post in the Belmont Derby.
I'm not worried about the 10 hole with Ryan Moore. I think he can. I hear what you're saying. I think he can handle it from out there. Another very interesting horse. It's a great race. It's absolutely a spread race. I think we'd all agree with that. All right, let's go on to the next race, guys. Race 8 Anthony, you're going to start us off again. Let me go ahead and switch the banners here. This is the dirt race. This is going to be the grade 3. Whoops, I wanted to bring up that. Sorry, you guys, switch a lot of screens. This is the grade 3 Victory Ride Stakes. They're going 6.5 furlongs. This is for 3-year-old restricted fillies. It's 150,000 on the line. There's the field. The morning line favorite is a very fast horse for Norma Cassie and Joel Rosario. It's the number 5, Pretty Birdie, coming from Kentucky. Anthony, who do you like in this spot?
So I thought this was a tough race because there was a lot of speed. And at first glance, there seems to be a ton of speed. I think Johnny V is going to take Happy Soul, the number 4, just off the pace like he did in the Dixie Belle, her first race since last June. She's 2 for 2 here at Belmont. There's a lot of gas in here. I do think she'll be able to just rate off the pace. You got some speed signed on it. You got Pretty Birdie. You got Hot Peppers. So I thought she made a lot of sense. I'm curious to see what Todd Fincher's runner Smash Ticket does, the number 2. And then at a price, we talked about all the speed. Sterling Silver, the number 7, is 3 for 3 at distances shorter than a mile. I know they were all against fellow New York breds, but with all the gas in here, why can't she come running?
You tell him, Anthony. You see the bottom of the screen, Anthony. You know what you're doing.
I haven't finalized picks here. Those are the 3 horses. I don't like Pretty Birdie.
Okay.
Well, those are the 3 horses I'm using, but you'll have to tune into Talking Horses to find out which one of them I'm putting on top.
There's the tease. There's the tease.
If the proverbial, if you made me make my pick right now, it would probably be Happy Soul.
Okay. That'd be the 4.
But I reserve the right to make changes before those picks get typed in to Talking Horses tomorrow sometime in the afternoon.
Paul, I know you don't want to contradict the great Anthony Stabile, but you've got Pretty Birdie on top, Paul, so you are the perfect person to go to next.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like her in this race. And I know there's other speed, but it's a half a furlong left. I think Rosario is perfect for her. I think both coming out of really key races. If you look at what the other horse have done, starting with Mataraya and Wicked Halo, the 2 horses have beaten her last time. They've both come back to run huge. Mataraya more than once, I believe, and Wicked Halo last weekend, as I recall. I think she gets the right trip here, and I think she's going to be a single A for me in the sequence.
Wow. Lone A and Anthony is tossing. I love it. That's why I love the show. Pete, you're going with the 2 Smash Ticket. I'm going to bring us back on screen here. I looked at this horse really carefully. I know I don't have her. Actually, I have her in 3rd. At first, and Pete, I don't want to steal your thunder. My first thought was toss. My first thought was toss because, where'd the 92 come from? And it was Lone Star. But I think she's actually interesting. I would never bet her 5 to 2, but I think she's interesting. What do you like about her, Pete?
Yeah, I was the 5 to 2. I hadn't seen the odds until we just started looking.
Right. I hadn't either.
Yeah, so I was a little thrown by that, but it's one, me, I always love the improvement especially from 2 to 3. And I when you look at that Sorrento race, this horse was the favorite and likes to be near the top and got bumped and checked and steadied. And it was, when you watch the replay, it was a terrible trip. Still ran actually decent to get 3rd, but was totally out of her element in that race. So if she runs a good race there, though, as the favorite, like she might have, then you're talking a more natural progression to that 92. So she gets the 92 just from growth, hopefully from 2 to 3, and maybe you get more of a natural progression, comes out and just fires a big bomb race. Didn't beat much, of course, but sometimes you crush a field when you're better than them, and that's what she did. So I like the shot at it. I don't love the 5 to 2, but in a pick 5, I'll take 5 to 2.
Anthony, I asked you a real important question because there's something about Smash Ticket that I actually like a lot that is underrated. Smash Ticket has been in New York for a while and has to work over the surface. How much do you think that matters for horses, especially coming from California?
I think it helps a lot.
I agree with you.
I think it helps an awful lot. I think getting acclimated to this place, it's funny. One of the things and one of the reasons she's one of the best, she's the best at what she does. Maggie Wolfendale Morley pointed out that, and he didn't run well, but when Rich Strike got here, he kind of trained well over the track, and that's not only handling the surface, but handling the configuration. Right, these horses can get lost like the jockeys do. And I think just getting acclimated to this, to Big Sandy and to Belmont Park in general, is probably a wise move. I mean, it helps to have Mike Smith, and it helps to have all that speed in the race. But yeah, I mean, and look, let's face it. If she runs her last race, if she runs that allowance race from Lone Star, now I don't know if we could trust a Lone Star form. But boy, if she does that, they're all running for second money. I mean, I don't think there's anybody can argue that.
By the way, Midnight Loot, the sire, one of my favorite horses of all time. Just wanted to throw that out there. Anthony, I am so with you in this race. It's crazy. I love Sterling Silver in this race. Now, I know she looks a little slow on paper. I get it. But Anthony, I'm a sucker for turnbacks. You already mentioned in the 3 sprint races, all she's done is come in first. Now, I know those were state-bred races. But, I mean, how tough is this field really? If you know, the big buyer numbers in this race are from Pretty Birdie, who I don't think is getting loose in this race, and the 2 who I don't trust, that 92 at Lone Star. So Trevor McCarthy, by the way, is very underrated. He's fantastic. He's going to take back, make one big run. I think this is a great horse to key underneath for sure in your trifectas, and maybe a little bit on top. I'm fascinated with Sterling Silver in this race. All right, let's go on to the next race, guys. This is the 3rd leg of the pick 5 here as we go to race 9. Again, appreciate all the comments. We got a lot of people watching. Really appreciate everyone joining us tonight. Anthony, of course, is going to go first. This is the Belmont Derby. It's a grade 1. They're going 1.25 miles. This one is for the boys on the turf, of course, for 3-year-olds. This is a huge field, as Pete already mentioned, of 13 as I go ahead and scroll through. We got a lot of Americans. We also have a lot of Euros coming over in this race. The morning line favorite is the horse on the outside, and you know this is a tough race when the morning line favorite is 9-2. Aiden O'Brien, Ryan Moore, Stone Age, who's got to come from the 13 hole, which is very difficult, as Paul's already mentioned, although it is a bit of a run into that first turn. Who do you like in the Belmont Derby, Mr. Stabile?
So I had to get my Chad fix. And this is a horse I was not a fan of last time, but he made me a fan last time, and that's Napoleonic War.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. You know,
I thought he hung a bit last time. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I thought he hung a bit. But go ahead.
I thought he had a ton of excuse with no pace in that race last time.
Okay, let's watch it. I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm just going to show like from the top of the stretch and let you actually just before the top of the stretch, and I'll let you talk about it. Let me freeze this. The Napoleonic War, everyone, as you can see on the screen, is the 4. Limited Liability is the 3, and Emmanuel's the 6. They all are running on Saturday. Anthony, I'll let you talk about the race. Let me just fast forward a little bit. All right, go ahead from here.
Yeah, you're just going to see Emmanuel just 51-3.
Here's
51-3. And Napoleonic War, you see him in those Peter Brandt greens. He's 3.5, 4 lengths off the lead. He never saw the iron. He's 3-4, he's 3-4 wide around the track. And you're going to see here, it's just, he makes this move here. And I can see where you're thinking he hung. But look at how far the rails are out, Howard. Everything about this horse's race last time. And you want to say he hung? I don't even know if I could argue with that much. But, man, didn't he have a little bit of an excuse to hang in here? He never saw the iron. This horse went 139-1 for the mile. And he's still to me, it's a huge, huge effort. And I'll say this. I think Pratt now, going a little longer, might even leave him with a little less to do. Okay. I think Pratt might be able to leave for position. He's got a great draw. The 2 horses inside of him have no speed. He's going to be able to get over, clear, save a little ground this time as opposed to last time. He's got Classic Causeway in here to keep Emmanuel company if it's not vice versa. Yeah. You just see these 2 going at it early on, and you hope that he's able to trip out in here, maybe get the jump on the Euros. and stave them off, hold them off at the end. I mean, I rounded it out with Stone Age and Nation's Pride. I guess Limited Liability. If you like Napoleonic War, you probably have to like Limited Liability a little bit. But I almost feel like people will see what you see. Oh, he hung a little bit. Limited Liability was the one who was really up against it. I think Napoleonic War was the one up against it. So I'll probably use the 4 of them. The 3, 10, 12, and 13. It is getting so dark out here I can hardly see, guys.
Okay, sorry, it's Limited Liability. Yeah, listen, it's a wide open race. There's a lot of ways you can go. Anthony, if you got to move to a different location or you got to change something, just let us know. We understand. Or you got your phone or some light or something you can use. I don't know.
I don't really have much. I think I might have to bail on you at some point.
All right, no problem. This is the last race that you were really going to be talking about in detail. So I'll tell you what, Anthony, just because you're running short on light, I know you got to leave here in a minute. Who do you think is going to be favored in this race? And who, in your opinion, is obviously you think the best American is your top choice, but my question is, what the hell is Classic Causeway doing in this race, and how is that going to hurt Emmanuel? Because it's hard for me to believe that Emmanuel's going to get loose in this race.
He can't. He's got to stall Classic Causeway. There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
That's going to hurt his chances a lot, right?
I think the bottom horse will be favored. I think Stone Age will go favorite.
Okay.
I think he should be.
All right. I hear you. I'll tell you what, Anthony, because you're short on light and you have to go. Let me put all of us back on screen.
I apologize, guys.
No problem. Anthony, before you got to go, in terms of your pick 5, I know you don't want to throw out a specific ticket, but in terms of construction, is there a race within the sequence that you would single or spread? There's a general philosophy. I know we haven't talked about the last 2 races yet. We'll do that with you off air, but general philosophy on your pick 5 structure for Saturday.
I'm going to have to really buckle down tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going to hope for some scratches, to be honest with you, because right now this thing is ginormous. I don't like to use words that don't even exist, but this thing's ginormous right now.
Well, from these Hold'em tournaments tonight, you'll be able to put together a $2,000.
Oh, that's fine. Right? I mean, I have no problem, but I hate giving out. I really hate giving out the gigantic tickets because I know a lot of bankrolls can't afford them.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it under $100 when I can. I don't know how I'm gonna conceivably keep this. I mean, at some point, and you hate, and this is the thing. You know what? I'm gonna change my answer from 10 questions. Massaging your budget is probably the biggest mistake handicappers make. Sometimes you just can't make a ticket. And I think that's going to be the case for some people on Saturday. This is a very tough sequence. Unless you want a stronghold on the Euros and you want to go 2x2 in the Euro in the 2 turf races, maybe you do that. Maybe you lean on Pretty Birdie. Maybe at the end of the day, I lean on Happy Soul. I don't think that's going to happen, but time will tell. The ticket will be up at NYRA Bets. We'll tweet it out. All the picks will be up for Talking Horses tomorrow. Still got some work to do on the card, some finishing touches. We're not supposed to get a lot of rain, if any. Lord knows we could use it at this point. I mean, these
a little Saturday morning is what I saw, maybe a few hours, right?
Overnight into the Saturday morning, so we should be fine though. Guys, this is a blast.
Anthony,
whenever you want,
Hambo, show, man.
I'm holding you to Hambo.
I'm on the Hambo. I'm ready for the Hambo, definitely.
I know a lot of you came on to see Anthony Stabile. Don't leave the show, guys. We still have the last race to talk about. Anthony, we greatly appreciate you coming on. I want to make 2 promises to everyone before you leave right now in front of the whole world. Number 1, we're going to grab a beverage and or dinner when I'm in Saratoga, number 1. And number 2, go to my online store, man. Pick out an outfit. It's on me. And I'll send it to you, okay? We'll talk off air. But go to the online store and represent our podcast, man, and I'll take care of you, all right?
We'll talk tomorrow. Guys,
all right.
Really great. Thank you for letting me share all my stories and everything tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Good luck in that Hold'em tournament.
Good luck,
man. Crush with that 3-9.
3-9.
I'm going to go get him with the Nicole right now.
All right. Take care, Anthony. Bye-bye. Thanks again. All right. Man, I love that guy. I mean, Paul, I don't even know what to say. His story at the beginning. I mean, he's an emotional guy. He tells it like it is. There's nothing I don't like about the guy. He's awesome. Let's go ahead back to the PPs again. Don't leave, folks. We got to talk about this race. Pete, I'm going to have you talk next. Let me bring the PPs back up. Again, we're talking about the Belmont Derby. Pete, you're going with the 6 horse in this race, if I have it correctly. You like Machete. I'm assuming I pronounced that correct. One of the Euros coming from France.
Yeah, and Paul's got it. Paul's got him in second. Me and Paul are always in sync on the foreigners somehow. We always wind up being in sync.
Is this horse going to chop up the competition?
Yes. Yeah. Good one. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Keep your day job and your night job, and let's stay off the comedy circuit, my friend. Let's do that.
What about Machete?
You know what? It's funny again without seeing the odds. I was like, oh, nice 20-1 when I just looked when I opened the page up. So this one is a bit of a flyer, but here's what I liked on the turf. This horse has been on the turf 4 times. 3 of them, you have 2 softs, 1 sort of good soft, whatever that is at the bottom there, but that was a long time ago anyway. I just feel like they got this horse on a firm turf, 1 1/8, 2 back, ran against Vedini, who's a monster, who just won the $1.6 million race that this horse was in last time as well, and ran a bang-up race, was sort of he's going to be coming from the back, but there's, again, if Classic Causeway goes nuts, because who knows what he's going to do on the turf. If Emmanuel tries to go with him, then I think this sets up for some closers. Some of the other foreign horses have a little bit of speed, so I think they'll either be tactical or right there. And I'm just taking a shot that this one maybe can run a bang up race from the back. And if you look, I liked that the jockey, where is it? I think 4 back when it won, and it was on the synthetic, but it had the same jockey. And if you watch that replay, it was just a great ride. I mean, it was a sort of just weaving. It was boxed in, sort of dipped to the rail, fought through, and this horse exploded. And again, that was on synthetic, but I think this horse has a big late kick, and hopefully it translates to this company, because honestly, this is one of the best races I think I've seen all year, top to bottom.
Are you talking about the Pre-Maurice Caillon?
Yes,
March 8th? Wow,
yeah,
good. Pete seriously deep diving into the synthetic form overseas. Listen, we are not going to shortchange you folks on this podcast. We're going to do our homework. Paul, you like the 6 also. You got Tim in second. You're going with another Euro in this race. Royal Patronage, 12-1 morning line. And before you talk about this horse, Paul, I got a little insight. Davy Lane and Phil Edwards, 2 guys that if you've been following the show, you know are fantastic punters or handicappers from the UK. I'll just tell you, both think Royal Patronage is very interesting in this spot. What do you like about this horse, Paul?
Well, I think Desert Crown's a pretty good horse. The horse that he lost to the last 2 times. I think Rosario is a good fit for him. I kind of like I like playing the Euros when they come over here, but frankly, I like when they use U.S. jockeys, i.e. Johnny V. I took in the other race in Rosario.
Okay.
Michael Adolphson, who's also Michael Adolphson is also very, very sharp. He was actually at the Belmont Stakes, Howard, doing some work for NYRA. He likes this horse.
Okay.
I think he's the best of the Euros. Although, Pete, I do have the CNA on my ticket.
I will say that Royal Patronage is a little more tactical as well. I don't think this horse is going to be closing from very deep. I know he had trouble in the paddock last time. He sort of freaked out. I highly recommend to everyone watching the show now, watching a replay of this, listening to a replay later on, check out Royal Patronage pre-race in the walking ring on track, because this horse is a little bit goofy, and that might help you make a decision on whether you like Royal Patronage. Just want to bring that up. Now, we have to show a replay, guys, because you can see my top choices here. I'm going 10, 13, 12, which are not 3 numbers I usually put out as my top 3. Nation's Pride I've got as my top choice. And, of course, my second choice is Stone Age, which, by the way, the PPs for some reason are not updating. I don't know why. I don't know what's happening with the PPs right now, but there are more races than just one, I believe. And then there is. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. And then the 12, Limited Liability, by the way, who I think is the best American horse, although I don't like the American horses in this race at all. I think a Euro is going to win. Now, Stone Age has run more than once. I don't know what's going on with my PPs right now, but I don't want to mess around with it. Let me talk about the last race that they all ran in. Now, we're going to show the Epsom Derby. Now, the Epsom Derby is almost like our Kentucky Derby. It's the biggest 3-year-old turf race in Europe, pretty much the world. These are very, 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 very good horses running in this race. Let me show these 3 horses that I'm talking about. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, let me turn off the sound here. Royal Patronage is right here, everyone, in the light blue. This is Royal Patronage. Stone Age is in the Peter Brandt horses right here. So this is the 8 on Saturday. This is the 13 on Saturday, Stone Age. And my personal top choice is the 10 right here, Nation's Pride. Now, I'm not showing you the whole race. There's stuff that happened earlier in the race that I don't have the time or desire to show you, but I will show you the stretch run. Royal Patronage right here really gives it up. I think something went amiss. I wouldn't say this would be a reason not to bet him, but he completely fell apart. Here's the 13. Seagate bumped a little bit and got a very good trip, though. Got a perfect trip. The horse I like is right here on the top left-hand corner, Nation's Pride, who's going to come back into the film, or into the video. This horse was steadied and had a lot of trouble early and was wide and uncovered most of the race. Again, we're not going to be able to see it, but I'll just show you where these horses end real quick. I'm going to freeze it right here. There's the 13 on Saturday. Here's Nation's Pride, the 10 on Saturday right here. And then you're going to see Royal Patronage way back. And again, Royal Patronage is back here. Do not let that dissuade you, though. There are, again, a lot of reasons as I bring us back. Sorry, let me bring us back on screen here, full screen. Again, Royal Patronage was acted goofy pre-race. Nation's Pride got steadied, had a lot of issues earlier in the race that I did not have a chance to show you, and then was wide and uncovered most of that race. And then Stone Age, the 13 on Saturday, who is the more line favorite and is probably the best horse in the race, did get a very, very good trip in that Epsom Derby. So I want to mention all that again. Take all that information for what you want at home. Let me refresh this, guys. I don't know what's going on with the PPs there. After watching that replay and any other thoughts, Pete, on this race, you think it's going to be won by a Euro, and Paul, you think it's going to be won by a Euro. Is there American that has any chance at all, Pete or Paul?
I have Tiz the Bomb in third. I just love that horse.
Let's talk about Tiz the Bomb. I mean, he's the most well-known American horse, and I guess you got to like his turf form, Pete. Obviously.
Oh, he's one of my favorite horses. I mean, I guess the thing is he just hasn't been on the turf. I mean, he has. If you see it there, he hasn't been on since the Breeders' Cup, and he ran a monster race against Modern Games. Is awesome, or was awesome, especially. And I think
Nakia Tauri, by the way, Nakia Tauri, thanks for joining the show. I'm not mentioning a lot of names. We have a lot. I hate to interrupt you, Pete, but I got a shout out. We've got a lot of new people watching tonight. Nakia, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you very much for watching. Again, a lot of other people have been commenting. Please do not be a stranger. This is a fantastic podcast. If you're a first-time watcher, highly recommend you check us out. Go ahead, Pete. You're talking about Tiz the Bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I know Paul likes to talk about this too, but we've talked about this all the time. When they get Derby fever, so a lot of these owners or trainers or whoever, respectively, for the horse gets Derby fever, so they take a horse away sometimes of what they're meant to do. This one's meant to be on the turf, I think, and it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's not that great on the dirt, obviously, but it's not terrible on the dirt, but it's really good on the synthetic, obviously, as you can see from those 2 really nice wins. But I think ultimately this is a turf horse. This is one. It's got the nice workout. I think it's just a couple nice workouts, actually. It's just coming into form. It's going to get back to doing what it's meant to do. It ran against the Euros last year in the Breeders' Cup and ran well against them with an awful trip. So I just think this one, and at 6-1, I mean, you're getting odds on everybody here, but you're getting a horse who could be the top American turf horse, 3-year-old turf horse, and you're getting him at 6-1. I'll take that. I'll take that on my ticket for sure.
I'm just going to push back a little bit, and then we're going to move on. I'm not, and I could be completely wrong, Pete. You could be totally right. I'm just not sure how good he is. I mean, Modern Games, who he lost to in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last time, is very good. But that field overall, remember there's some scratches. On that field overall, I didn't think it was that strong. And his only wins this year, again, he hasn't been on turf this year, I'll give you that. But his wins are on synthetic, and he hasn't really gotten that much faster. I don't know. I think he might be overbet in this spot. I'm fascinated to see how this horse does. I'm a bit against him. Paul, I'll let you have the final word on this race. How do you feel about Tiz the Bomb here, Paul? Paul?
I think that the best American shot, Side Dog, who may not be good enough, although he has improved every race, and he was coming out of a slow last time, and it was only a mile and a 16th. They went 20-4 for the first quarter. They went 25-2 second quarter. Yeah. So he certainly could be pace compromised. He's going to be a factor late, and I think he has as good a chance. American. I think Tiz the Bomb absolutely should be on turf. Is he the best 3-year-old American turf horse? I'm not so sure about that, but he at least is running on the right surface only for the first time this year. So I congratulate him on the right surface in mid-July.
All right, let's move on to the next race, guys. Race 10. I just go ahead and switch the banner. Let me show the entries here. We got 2 more races to talk about. Everyone, again, thanks for watching tonight. Race 10. This is the penultimate leg of the Pick 5. These are non-stake races. The main special weight, 7 furlongs. Let me go full screen here. 7 furlongs on the turf. This is for New York bred, so this is a tricky race. It's a big field. You can see of 12 with some also eligibles that I highly doubt are actually, they're not main track only. So if there's a scratch, it's possible these horses would get in, but the main body of the field is 12. Let's see. Let's go to Pete first. You've got the 5 in this race, Pete. Why don't you go ahead and talk about that horse as I go and switch the PPs?
Sure. So 5, Feathers Road. This one, it's one, usually the more they run and they're still maidens, you don't necessarily like, but this one's run 9 times. So it's nothing crazy. And it's 4 seconds and 2/3. So this one hits the board. It's close. It's right there. And it'd been switching between turf and dirt. That's hard to say. So they finally the last 2 races, they put this one back on turf. If you want to watch a replay, I don't know if you want to show it, Howard, but if you want to watch a replay, I think
just because we're getting a little bit, just because we're getting
no.
Time,
this
Pete,
is more for fun. This has nothing to do with the 5, actually. More for fun. People should watch the replay 2 back and watch Marinara Sauce. And watch the monster close that this horse comes from the clouds like you've never seen. So that horse ultimately, though, came back and won 150 grand stakes the next time out with a 77 buyer. The last race, the horse came out of it. He was a pretty good horse, Yarrow. This one closed into it. It was a slow pace, was trying to close into
this horse right here? Oh, my goodness.
Look at that horse. Look where it's coming from.
Yeah, but it looks like they can clock this last quarter with a speed dial, with a sundial.
Oh no, wow. Sure, but still, you still have to do a lot of work to come from the clouds like that. I loved it when I watched it, but I just think this one's been knocking on the door. And usually you don't like the ones that stay maiden for a little bit too long, but this one runs good races and is now on, I think, its preferred surface. Again, we talked about that last race. I think they finally put it on the preferred surface. And I think this one's ready to sort of move up out of this for finally.
By the way, I got a question for everyone in the chat. We got a lot of people watching right now. You know what I like about marinara sauce, Pete? Mozzarella sticks. In the chat, your favorite food, your favorite food to go with marinara sauce. Put it in the chat right there. What's your favorite food with marinara sauce? Mine would be mozzarella sticks. Paul's looking me side-eyed like I'm crazy.
Yeah, we gotta keep it Italian, Paul. We can't have this one on.
We've gotten off the rails here. Paul, you've got a horse that I like that I've gotten second. You've got Salt K on top for Chad Brown.
Yeah, I mean I haven't picked Chad Brown yet, and we're already in the 11th race, so the 10th race.
You getting the shakes, Paul? You starting to get the shakes a little bit from not having Chad?
Well, the thing I like is, to run this horse on turf twice already. Both times they were taken off. Both times they kept them in. I suspect just to because to get the races, especially the one at Aqueduct back in April. But I thought he ran well. A sloppy track last time, and I think this is the right surf, and I think he's going to be coming out on top here.
By the way, Paul, if you need to, I know you're a little short on time. Also, Paul, if you need to go, let me know in the private chat.
Yeah, I got a few more minutes.
Okay, I want to talk about the 6 just for a second because I think this is a very fascinating horse that's going to be a price. Brady's Legacy is my top choice in this race. This horse is 8-1 morning line. Tom Morley does a great job. He's a very underrated trainer. He wins. This horse has not run since last year. Now, Pete, just to piggyback on your thought, there's a lot of horses in this race that have already run that I just don't like. I'm sick of these horses that have already run 4 or 5 times on the turf. I'm going with totally fresh faces. That's why I like Paul's 7 in this race. This horse has not run since last year, but Morley can win off the layoff. It's Tyler Gaffleone. The horse has been working really well. And not only that, take a look at the breeding. This horse has some turf breeding. You see the Dam Oriental Moon did run on turf and run a real nice race on synthetic. And then you look at the siblings. He's got a Keep Waiting, who this horse is a half to, did have some nice turf races. So I think there is some turf breeding in this race, enough to make me interested. I'm just going with a fresh face here. I think number 6, Brady's Legacy, is fascinating in this spot for Tom Morley and Tyler G, a horse for everyone to consider getting into the last race. By the way, we've got baked clams, fried calamari, a lot of different possibilities there with your marinara sauce. All right, let's go to last race, guys, and we'll talk about our pick 5. The last race of the pick 5 sequence. I go ahead and switch a bunch of screens here, and there is on the bottom of the screen right now, you can see our choices. Paul and I are thinking very similarly in this race, which I don't know if that makes Paul feel good or bad, but Paul's going to talk first. Paul, you've got the number 4 on top here. Giramonte, 10-1 morning line, only one for 13 lifetime, but very consistent on the turf.
Oh, Howard, you don't know. I'm
no?
sorry. What number is Sheriff Banco?
5. I thought you sent me 4.
Oh,
Maybe I wrote it down wrong.
I probably did, but I didn't have the numbers on my PPs.
Okay, who do you
and
like?
I assume there might be an entry. Is there? I like Sheriff Bianco. Who
That's
I'm
the
sorry,
5.
Howard. Like I said, I did not have the numbers.
Yeah, the numbers
on my
you did the one number down thing. I've done that before too.
The entry was in there. It messed up the numbers
there was
early
an entry.
until
I'll
they
tell you
came
what, Paul.
up.
Tell me the names of the horses you like. Sheriff Bianco, and then who?
Sheriff. My top pick is Sheriff Bianco, who is apparently the 5. My next pick is Umbria, who is
Umbria is the 1. It's the
I have him as the 11, but
no problem.
Is he the 1?
And third choice? I'm sorry?
My third choice is sorry
that's
about
okay.
that.
No, that's all right. So we
anyway,
talk about Sheriff.
I like Sheriff. Yeah, and again, Big A makes a good point. Don't get locked into things. I love playing a horse that's run 8 times and run second 4 times because he's certainly proven that he can run second, and that's not going to help us in the pick 5. But having said that, this is a drop in class. He's going from non-winners of 1 other than to non-winners of 2 lifetime. Tyler Gaffleone is coming off a terrific Churchill meet. And I just think on numbers, this horse had good races later. He did not run well the last time on a yielding course, which he's not going to get on Saturday. They got a firm course on Saturday. So Sheriff Bianco, who glad we did this exercise because I would have played the wrong number in my pick 5 on Saturday, and I would have, unless Charity will now just run. Yeah. But Sheriff Bianco is my.
Well, we all have the 5. I'll tell you what, Paul, I'm going to do a little quick detour. I'm going to let you talk about your pick 5 ticket. Again, if you're watching, please don't leave yet because Pete and I are going to talk about this race and we'll give our ticket. Pete, Paul will let you get out of here because I know you're short on time. We appreciate you, coming on tonight due to the circumstances. Why don't you go ahead and talk about, let me mention Paul's pick 5. He's got 1, 4, 5, 9 with 5, with 1, 6, 7, 8, 10, with 4, 7, 10. It says 4, 5, 11, but that's actually not correct. It's actually like 1, 5. We know it's 1, 5 for sure.
5 something 1, I guess.
We'll just do 1 and 5. Paul, just for the viewers and listeners before you have to go, do you want to talk about your ticket construction a little bit?
Yeah, the numbers in the last leg, Howard, would be 5, 6, 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Just fix it right now. Look at that, man. There you go. 156. All right, go ahead.
So
you're signaling
to
the 5 in the
Anthony's
second
point,
leg. That's your big thought here.
Yeah, to Anthony's point, the races you got to really spread. I think almost everywhere, and I went through it, and it's not that big a field. It's only 7 horses, and if I were playing a caveman, which I'm not, as you know, I would lean on Pretty Birdie, and as you can see, I'm 4. I'm 5 deep in the Oaks. In the Derby, and then 3 deep in the last 2. So, but I will be ABCing it, and I wish you men well, and we'll talk next week.
Great. Thanks a lot, Paul. Take care. Appreciate it. Trip. All right, that was Paul Halloran. Pete, you and I, we're the ones left standing. We're at the final table here. Heads up.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's go ahead again. No one leave because we want to talk about our pick 5 and few other quick things. Again, greatly appreciate everyone watching today. Pete, we've all got the 5. This is my main single. I think this horse really stands out. I'm not a big fan of the drop here, but I think Wesley Ward knows is not going to be a stake horse. My only concern is the drop because he's a New York bred, Pete, and you got Saratoga coming up, and now they're giving up this horse for 30. But I thought this was a pretty weak-ass field.
Yeah, it's terrible. And if you look at that last one again, Paul mentioned it, but it was a yielding turf, and for some reason the jockey just took this horse back. It actually broke. Watching the replay, it actually broke well. I don't know if you watched it, but it broke.
I did.
It broke nicely from the 12, and I thought it could have got in contention, and then it dropped it way back when this horse is only. I mean, if you look at it, it's got 1s and 2s only for most of its races. So you knew it was done right there. So I'm thinking this time they put Gaffalione on. Gaffalione's not going to make that same mistake. 5 holes, going to much better post position, should break cleanly. Yeah, I agree with you. If you're going to go skinny, I think this is the one, which is actually what I did. I went sort of skinny, I think, on my ticket that I sent you here.
Just very quickly for time purpose, I'll just mention your 6, who's the other Wesley Ward you've got second. And I have in second the 11, who I actually think is interesting. Just broke his maiden for 40, but it claimed by Rob Atras, who's very good. I'm weighing very heavily on the 5. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think the 11 is very interesting. Again, it's kind of like that fresh face angle. There's just a lot of horses in this race, Pete, I don't like. And the 11 is a fresh face horse that might be improving at the right time. And I know that race was off the turf last time, but did run well 2 back on the turf. I don't know. I think this horse has been.
No, I actually had that one in consideration, and when I was going through some of the stats, the one thing I didn't like was Atras is great first after the claim. I don't have the exact stat right in front of me, but he's not as good on the turf right after the claim. So that sort of scared me just enough to not put him in my top line. But again, I think you're splitting hairs here because I think there's a lot here that it's wide open, I think, unless that 5 horse is just better than everybody and is just classier than everybody and just wins this race. If that 5 doesn't win, I think any of them can win.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, it's either 5 or a lot of people. I have to show, Pete, before we talk about our pick 5 tickets, I got to show one fantastic. I think this might be one of my favorites. Comments of the entire day is from Derek.
I was going to put that one up. I was holding it. I had it.
Derek ordered his T-shirt. And again, for those of you that are just joining the show, I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. There's a T-shirt. He's got the T-shirt. I've got my T-shirt back here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an online store. Let me show it right now. We have an online store that just opened up. I got to take his banner off the screen. We have an online store that just opened up. There's a lot of T-shirts. There's hoodies. There's quarter zips, hats. These are not the only colors. If you click on a hoodie, for example, when you click on the hoodie, it's taking a little time. The internet is slow tonight for some reason. I don't know why. There you go. When you click on the hoodie, you can see there are different color options to choose from. Anyway, the online store is open. Whoop, didn't want to show that again. The online store is open, everyone. Check it out. Again, look below the video player. In the description, there is a show more button. Hit that show more button. The link to the online store is below the video player after you click the show more button. Derek, thanks a lot. We really appreciate, and we appreciate everyone purchasing from the online store. Only open for 12 days until July 19th. Pete's Pick 5 ticket, 456 with 257, with 369, 10, 13, with 57, with 56. You've decided to go skinny in the last two races, Pete, and spread a little bit in these big stake races?
Yeah, honestly, I had the same trouble that Anthony talked about when he was on, where when I put my initial ticket together, and it probably was about 200 and change at first.
Yeah.
So I started chopping, and the race I didn't want to chop in was the Belmont Derby. I just think that race is awesome. I mean, anytime you could have a 9-2 favorite, like you mentioned, it's great. You know, you're going to get some good horses with some good odds. So I don't want to lose to a horse that I kind of like in a race like that. So I said, you know what? I think this 5 horse could be the standout in the last race. So I'll go skinny there. And then it was almost by default that I went a little skinnier in the second to last race with the same reasoning, because I really liked my choices in the first 2 legs. I sort of liked going 3 deep and wanted to go spread in that third leg.
Yeah, I agree with Anthony. I think this is a very tough sequence. I have sort of similar thoughts as you two as I bring up my pick 5. As you can see, Pete, I'm going pretty deep early and going, well, I'm going 4 deep in the second to last leg. But my pick 5 ticket for $96, everyone, is 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10 with 2, 4, 5, 7 with 10, 13 with 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm singling the 5 Sheriff Bianco on the end because otherwise, Pete, if I was playing, of course we all play ABCs, but if I was playing a caveman, I mean, I'd have to go 5, 7, 6, 7 deep in the last. I can't do that. Again, 1, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10 with 2, 4, 5, 7 with 10, 13 with 4, 5, 6, 7 with 5. I'm going very skinny in the Belmont Derby. I really like the Euros a lot in the Belmont Derby. I think Stone Age and Nation's Pride, I won't say they lay over the Americans, but I like them a lot. I think one of those two is going to get the job done. That race is such a difficult race, going a mile and a quarter, a mile and a half, whatever it is, over sort of soft ground, uphill against the best 3-year-olds in the entire world. I have a hard time believing any of those Americans are better than those Euros. But in the Oaks, Pete, in the first race, I actually like some of the Americans. I don't think the Euros are that strong in the Oaks. I think they're much stronger in the Derby. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I didn't even like the Euros. I actually put one on more for, I think the one I put on was an Appleby Dettori, and I had when Dettori and Appleby hook up here in America, they're 3 for 3. And I think it was all in like a day last year. They were at Woodbine maybe, but okay. I wanted to put him in because I love Appleby. I love Dettori, and that horse actually had a race on there that fits, but I thought it was a very weak European crop for sure.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that the stronger crop was with the males in the third leg.
And not that they can't win, because I guess the thing for the listeners or viewers, the thing we never know with the Europeans is sometimes their form doesn't even have to look that great, but they just take to our surfaces or take to our tracks a lot better than they take to their own. And unfortunately, you don't know that until they run. And then you're just sort of screwed, like, wow, I didn't know this one was going to take to it so well.
The other thing, as you know, Pete, and probably a lot of the viewers and listeners know, I mean, these Euros are coming over for firm. I love when these Euros come over and the turf ends up being soft and people are like, oh, you got to love the Euros now. I mean, okay, maybe they're used to running on soft, but the reason why they're coming over, or at least one of the reasons, is they want it firm. And even if they get a little bit of rain, as you know, you're out in Maryland. I mean, it has been very hot and dry. That turf course, I saw like 107 and change, I think, last week in a 6 furlong race. I think Maine went like 107 or something that I didn't have was it 2 weekends ago or whatever. Anyway, the turf course is very firm. Pete, really enjoy you coming on. Next week, just let everyone know, we're going to plan Tuesday and Thursday next week. Saratoga opens a week from today. Woo! Opening of Saratoga a week from today. We're going to be live Tuesday night. It's going to be a roundtable discussion with all of my co-hosts, including Jim Pillar's tentatively will be here, and Kyle Roscoe. So just be all 5 of us here on the HHH Racing Podcast together talking about Saratoga. And then I plan on having a special guest 1 week from today on the Thursday night flagship show to talk about the Saturday card, the first major weekend stakes card at Belmont. Guest TBA. I'll get back to everyone on that. Again, thanks for watching. We really appreciate you watching episode 156. Check out the online store. If you need information, again, look below the video player. Click that show more button in the description. And on the first promotion, the link is there. Or you can just email me. We'd appreciate anything you'd purchase for the online store just to spread the word. We're not looking to make millions off this at all. The prices are what they are. I did not set them. That's what the vendors set. But it's high quality merchandise. Hope you're going to purchase the online store and also look into the Race Day blog. It's excellent. For my only co-host left on the show right now, Pete Visco, this has been your host, Howard Kravitz, for episode 156 of the HHH Racing Podcast. Good luck on Saturday, the closing weekend at Belmont Park, and then we'll see you next week to talk about opening weekend at the Spa. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.